Was I disappointed? No, of course not. Was I surprised? Of course I was not. So I've been talking about this particular PSG team, and I said this team, apart from Mbappe and probably Dembele and Marquinhos, the remaining players playing for that particular team, that PSG team, are mediocre players. And I've often said that this team cannot really compete. And I said it when they played their quarterfinal match against Barcelona, the first and the second leg. I said it's because Barcelona are not really in a very good state right now, financially, mentally, as a team, is actually affecting the way they are competing. And that's why PSG could actually eliminate them from the quarterfinals of the Champions League. And I had a lot of people coming into my DMs saying, of course, that I don't know what I'm saying. And now they are playing a team that's not really in form, a German team that has not actually been doing too very well until recently. When that match started yesterday, I'm sure for everyone that saw that Dortmund PSG match, you could almost tell that they were going to be trashed. The PSG team went there with a mentality, and that mentality was just to soak up the pressure, try as much as possible to ensure Dortmund doesn't play from the midfield, and somehow, if God helps them, that they don't concede. Because they were not willing to attack. I don't know what Luis Enrique was actually thinking about. How can you keep Marco Asensio on the bench? Okay, Bradley Bakula was not really having a good match like he did against Barcelona. And it was very evident right from the start of the whistle in the first half. I expected him to have removed him earlier than he did. And the next change that should be coming in the attack should be Asensio, not Kolomuniain. These guys were not really showing as if they wanted this particular match. They were not really showing as if they wanted to play in the finals. This is the semi-finals of the Champions League, for crying out loud. Mbappe was so isolated, top nine, playing as a top nine, and it was a very difficult evening for PSG. They could not create anything. Vincia had to be deployed in the number six role because of the absence of Danilo and the fact that Fabian Ruiz is not as energetic as Vitinha. Vitinha was playing from deep and he was trying to make those, box to box run. He was trying to make those long passes into Mbappe and Dembele, but it was not really working for PSG. And the question is, Luis Enrique was seated there all through 90 minutes plus 6 minutes added time, and he had no clue about what he wanted from this PSG's team. Because at one point in time, Mendes playing at the left back felt like he was playing for the Dortmund team. He was conceding very useless passes. He was making erroneous passes into the opposition. The whole team of PSG players were not really playing like they wanted that match. Dortmund played like they wanted it more. And speaking about Dortmund and how much they wanted to qualify to the final of the Champions League, one player that stood out for me and the Dortmund team, in fact, who was the man of the match yesterday was Jadon Sancho. For a lot of persons who actually saw that match, it felt like a rebirth of Jadon Sancho. This is the Sancho we used to know that played for Borussia Dortmund some 3-4 seasons ago before he made a move to Manchester United. This guy played as if he's not been away from the Dortmund team. And if there's anything to go by, he is the first player this season to actually have 11 successful dribbles in the Champions League. The first Englishman to even do that in the Champions League. That was how good Sancho played yesterday against Dortmund. And that not been for the fact that Nicholas Fulkrog and probably Emre Can were not able to convert their chances, I'm sure the scoreline would have been more than 1-0. Apart from the fact that Kylian Mbappe hits the upright once in the second half, and there was a chance missed by Fabian Ruiz, there was no real pressure up front for PSG. They just went there with no plan, no coordination, no tactic to actually ensure that they leave the Dortmund stadium with at least a point. It just felt like Luis Enrique just put out these guys and say, let's play. who could just play. Let's see what happens. Let's just come back to France and see how we can actually make life difficult for Dortmund. But no, you can actually make life more difficult for them by trying as much as possible to secure at least the points there, and then you can unleash whatever plan or tactic you want on this opponent when you're playing in front of your own crowd. I think that's the best way to actually approach games. But to me, I was not really I've never been convinced about Luis Enrique's managerial prospect and what he offers to a team, even while he was the coach of Barcelona and even the national team. But for me, I still feel if PSG are going to have anything to come out of this second leg tie of the semi-finals, they need to play Mbappe in his preferred position, and that's the left wing forward. He needs to play there, and a striker needs to come in, either in presence of Kolomuani should play from up front, or Asensio can actually play from there. They just need someone to fill that number 9 spot and ensure that Mbappe is free on the left to make those diagonal runs, drop his shoulder from the left to the right, and either make a pass or shoot. Just do what Mbappe does from the left flank. And I think PSG might be able to play better. When you look at the stats of how this players fared yesterday, and you'd see that Fabian Ruiz had the lowest rating in that match. And that's testament to how poor he played yesterday. Zayn Emery actually did better than him in the midfield. So did Vitinha, who had the highest player rating in the PSG team with 8.0 yesterday. And when you look at the Dortmund rating as well, according to SofaScore.com, you're going to see that Jadon Sancho had the highest rating of the match entirely, and that's how well he played. So does that mean that Dortmund are going to do all they can to actually secure Jadon Sancho's future and maybe buy him away from Manchester United? Or do you think Manchester United are going to look at a reborn and rejuvenated Jadon Sancho and say, okay, now you've gotten your rhythm back again and we want you back in the first team at Manchester United? That's a story that would try to follow and see how that is going to unfold, moving forward into the transfer window when the EPL season come to an end some few weeks from now. But before then, I'm sure Jadon Sancho is going to be exploring the possibility of leaving Manchester United because he's now playing with a smile on his face. He's playing one of the best football of his life currently, and it feels almost like Dortmund feels like home for him. So who says he cannot actually find a way to secure a permanent deal and stay back at Dortmund? So follow me for more videos like this, and I'll see you on the next episode of Touchline Inside Videos. My name is Abdul, but before then, stay blessed.